Now, Ogilvy has been crowned the Network of the Year Asia, Latin America, and also North America. So, congratulations are definitely in order for our leading ladies of Ogilvy. Joining me are Liz Taylor, the Global Chief Creative Officer of Ogilvy, and Kainaz Karmakar, India CCO. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Cannes has always been this amazing playground for Ogilvy globally and also in India. While, of course, it's shining globally, would you say India has taken a slight backseat this year?
No, I would not say. I think we are beating the drum from every region. I think there's incredible work on our biggest brands. I think also we had an amazing moment on stage where for the first time ever, we had India's first female president, jury president. I think the work is spectacular and we all feel Piyush's spirit is with us. So I do not feel like India has taken a backseat. I don't know if you feel differently, but I don't.
I'll come to the jury president part later, but I want to ask you now, Ogilvy has always been one of the top scorers from India. Even this year, you are. But is it less satisfying considering the number of medals? And it's not just for Ogilvy, it's for the whole country. What do you think has really gone wrong?
So I think it's been bittersweet, and I'll tell you why. First of all, we missed the gold, so I think there is no running away from that. As a country, we don't have a gold. India does, as yet. I don't know what's going to happen today, but we don't have a gold yet. I'll tell you the sweet part though. The sweet part is Colgate, which we won a silver for, which is Indiana's Dentist. Is Colgate India's first lion? Yesterday we had a workshop with them and they were thrilled about it. They're really excited to do more work like that. Renu versus the City is like such a low budget piece of work, and second year in a row St. Jude's makes a mark at Cannes in writing. You know, it was impossible choice previously, and now Renu versus the City, and it's made it such a small budget. The work has made a true difference in India and it's winning at Cannes. So for us there is sweet part as well.
I'm going to add one more comment. Cannes is never the goal for us. It's always, a happy outcome if we have. So when you asked me in the beginning, I feel like the work is spectacular on our biggest clients in our biggest markets. And so for me, that's the win. Cannes is like the icing on the top if and when we win. So we're not judging just if we feel like is the work in that region coming down in any way. So that's just what I would say about that.
But having said that, it's always nicer to go up on stage and
it is.
There. So I just want to understand from you, I was speaking to one of the senior advertising professionals from India, and he said something very interesting, that every country or every region is known for something, has a particular image across the world. Now, even when the jury is judging, just to give you an example, India, there are big problems like, say, poverty to some extent, hygiene to some extent, population,
Traffic.
The Middle East, I think gender equality. So tell me, when it comes to that jury room, if an agency addresses these mass problems, do you think they have a greater chance at a win because it kind of fits into that image that the jury has of the country? Or is it better if, like the West, we tackle niche issues? I was watching Save a Pub, and something like what Heinz did for, that little pocket to, put sauce in it. Yeah. So would you think that is something that would work for India in future, or we need to continue doing what we're doing currently?
I think at the end of the day, the key is the best insights that really connect the brand to the consumer. So, and then obviously there's a cultural, wherever it's going to play, that plays into it. But no brand should do something that has no relevance to them just because it's an issue or a problem in their market. It still has to connect back to their purpose or what they do. And then I think the responsibility of that jury room is to understand what the business problem was, what the insight was, the strategy behind it, what they were trying to achieve, did they do it, and then cultural nuances. And I think that's why they always, for the most part, do a pretty good job in Cannes of having a diverse jury to get different perspectives, because you'll have someone go, let me explain this if you don't fully understand the case, or maybe you're not aware that this is something that's happening in this market. But I think it's like that Heinz ketchup one as an example. That's a human behavior insight of like when you get a thing of fries, where do you put the ketchup if you're on the go? So that solved an interesting consumer need that probably is a frustration that they scoured in social and found. I don't necessarily think that that's just an issue, you know, but then you can have hair discrimination laws in the US for Dove. That's something that only lives in the US. So that's where I think you kind of, but Dove is about real beauty. So I think it still has to go back to the client and the purpose and their business objectives.
Do you agree, Kainaz?
No, I agree 100%. Like, for example, let's take two diverse things that won from India this time. Indiana's Dentist is not only a fresh creative, but I think a fresh brief, because I don't see any other campaign tackling the fact that people in India do not throw away their toothbrushes till it gets really old and almost flowers, and that's where it's come from. Come to the other end, which is St. Jude's, which is Renu versus the city. A very different brief, but very relevant to that client, which is a lot of people come to Bombay for treatment for cancer, but how do they fight the city? There is no place to stay. It's a very expensive city. So it has to be, the client has the right to play there, and that's why they're playing there. I think if we do something that's not relevant to the client that we are working in, it will not work. So we are very, very conscious of that.
Now, you know, taking a step backwards and talking about the restructuring of WPP, the WPP Creative that, you know, was put together. And I was speaking to Rob, and he spoke about how this creation of this...
You're like, you'll take this one, Liz. Up to
you. So I was speaking to Rob, and he spoke about how after that creation of one PNL, you know, you and Debbie are working together more in collaboration than ever. Now I want to also bounce that off to you, Kainaz. It's coming back to you.
You thought you were off the hook. Let's try.
Now, of course, it's happening on a global level because VML and Ogilvy are almost on par. They're really good creative agencies on a global setup level. But back in India, Ogilvy is a class apart. I mean, VML hasn't reached there. So would you say when it comes to integration, there is such specific thing that Ogilvy can't do and VML can do?
I'm taking it over.
Oh my God.
It's not integration. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. Like we're not integrating. So it has more to do with back end. Like we're still keeping both opcos as separate, VML and Ogilvy. We just make it easier to work and share talent if you need, particularly around capabilities that you don't have. Like commerce currently lives in VML. So we already do it. We do it on global clients like SEJ, where Ogilvy will do more of the brand work and the teams will do more on VML, the commerce, but it's one team. We're structured as one team. So the client might not know to their face who's Ogilvy, who's VML. That's the purpose of it, to make it easier for clients. It's not to blend Ogilvy and VML.
Basically, just, share efficiencies in some way.
In some ways, but we're not getting rid of the brands. We're not changing anything. Absolutely. We're rooting for each other. So I just wanted to make sure that that's clear, because I think a lot of people think, oh, it's going to be WPP Creative and the brands are going to go away, or what if one's better and one... We all win when we all win. And I would say that as an industry. Like, you know, rising tide, like the more everybody does well, the better we are. Like, so... I'm just setting that straight, because I'm not going to have Kainaz comment on like, why VML? VML is good. We're all good. But you can talk more about it. I just want, we're not going away.
I agree that, you know, this WPP Creative has happened, but we are very aware that the brands are not, you know, merging, as Liz said. And having said that, I think Kalpesh is a friend, Babita is a friend. So if we have to work together, like, and make integrated teams for certain clients, I don't think that should be a problem. In Colgate, we actually do handle different parts. Like we handle a certain part of it, but when it comes to commerce and certain digital work, VML does handle that. And also when it comes to creativity, I think Kalpesh has made a huge difference. The Kit Kat slowest vending machine and the Kolhapuri are such good pieces of work. I know they didn't convert here, but they are
shortlisted. But
they are shortlisted, but they are absolutely brilliant pieces of work. So we are very, very proud of that.
Now coming back to you, Liz. Now we've seen clients in the past, of course, do separate pitches for creative, digital, media. Now they're going a step forward, content production, commerce, all of this is coming into play. In this day and age where agencies are consolidating, or to some extent trying to make it an integrated process, you know, wherein efficiencies are matched, you know, everybody works together as one team. how do you separate, how do you change the client who's still working in silos with regard to, I want to give my commerce mandate to X agency, I want to give my media mandate to Y agency. How do you think that change will come about?
I think that's not new. That's been happening, the IET process and for clients forever. So I don't think that's new. I think anytime we show up for a client, we being Ogilvy, we show up how we show up. We bring the best of our thinking to them, which tends to be integrated because that's how, we tend to do culture first ideas through insights and we spread it. But we know how to work with our, we won a big pitch that was, even in the big pitch, they still separated things out. So we're still good partners to our competitors because at the end of the day, our clients have to do well. And so it doesn't help them if we can't figure out ways of working, but we still show up how we show up. We'll never show up as just an agency that would bring them a film if that's what they were asking for. We need to solve a big business problem for them, and that, you need all of the parts of the funnel to make that happen.
Right. Now I'll come to you, Kainaz, and your jury president role. And of course, it was a big honor for India. It was a big honor for Ogilvy and you, of course. Tell me something that transpired in that jury room which made you change the way you're going to approach your case studies in future. Maybe top 3 things that you are going to put in now, which you didn't earlier.
Yeah, I think one thing is very clear, that if you are coming from a deep cultural truth, then you have to make that cultural truth extremely clear in your case study. If that is not understood, a lot of people might keep wondering that, what is happening here and why is it happening. Sometimes they will have the time to read the form and understand it. Sometimes it might just pass by. And before we enter the room also, there's a short list that happens where you're not there to explain. Even if you're from the country, you're not there to explain. So I think that is one very important thing. The second thing I would say is craft. And this is not just for case studies, but for case studies as well. Craft makes a difference. How you show up. Do people really love it? One great example of it is the Kotex one this year, which is one of menstrual art's missing period. When you look at it, you look at the case study, it is the music, the editing, all of it is just so perfect. The supers. And the third thing is, you have to be bulletproof. I think that is very important, because in the room we saw so many times when we paused a case and we said, okay, you know what, especially because we were in health and wellness, how is this backed up by science? And there was somebody from a hospital who works in a hospital as a marketing officer of a hospital, is very well aware of medical background, and we had to stop and ask for clinical findings. And those findings didn't match up with what was presented in the case study, and the case suffered. So the third learning is, if you're putting results in the case study, do not assume that the jury will take your word for it.
Nice. Okay, coming back to you. Now, I was speaking to Devika many years ago, and I remember she said, this is a boomerang. She's always been an Ogilvy person, and she moved to Leo. We loaned her for some time to Leo, and then she came back. So I want to know from you, what is it that separates Ogilvy from all the other agencies that you've worked with in the past?
So one thing I always say is, when I was at Ogilvy previously, I'll say 2 things. When they recruited me, when I was there, and when I left, they treated me the same. In the sense of, they wooed me in, and then when I was there, they championed me, and then when I left, they still rooted for me. And it's a feeling that does not exist at other places. Sometimes when you leave, there's spiteful feeling. And so there was something in they treat you the same every step of the way. The other thing is, there is no global network that is truly as borderless, and our worldwide creative council, we meet every Tuesday. So we know each other, we root for each other, we help each other, we give talent to each other, we throw ideas at each other, and we're builders of yes and versus competitive with each other. Also doesn't exist somewhere else. It was also the place that I felt the most me, and that's a hard thing to explain, but I felt that I was allowed to be my true self more than anywhere I ever worked. Was not putting up any I didn't have to put on a facade of, ooh, I am the leader, I must say these things. I'm allowed to be myself. I felt safe. And I think when you do that, you are the most comfortable, and that's where you can thrive. You feel like people are rooting for you. not a lot of politics. So it was always my favorite job. I think wherever I worked, people were like, I know, you love Ogilvy. You know, you love Ogilvy. I'd have to stop myself to like want to use a David Ogilvy quote, hire giants, be so, like I would constantly, so it just always felt like home. There was like just a feeling, I don't know how to explain it. And other people knew. And so to get the call to come back in such a insanely beautiful pinch me, I still can't believe I have the role, I will never take for granted. Like, I genuinely think I have the greatest job in the world. I'm so lucky to be surrounded with so many wonderful, beautiful Ogilvy giants that like root for each other. It's just a different spirit than anywhere else I've ever worked. Wow. I could literally do a TED Talk on it.
Fab. Just one last question. Now we've heard in the past that innovation, technology, all of that would happen in the West, and India would lash onto it a few years later, make it its own. Has that changed phenomenally in the past few years? Would you say today we are also setting that trend, which globally people are following, agencies are following, brands are following?
Okay, so I'll speak for India, not just for Ogilvy, but starting with Ogilvy, I think Shah Rukh Khan, my ad, is such a great example of innovative use of machine learning, and personalization at scale. If you, at that time, people were talking about machine learning, they were talking about personalization at scale, but SRK, my ad, showed how it is done. And it became creatively, yeah, exactly. And it became an iconic piece of work. Last year, it didn't win, but Garuda Rakshak from India was nominated for an innovation shortlist. So we are right there. The third thing, I will go back in time a little bit, and this is low tech, but it is an innovation, no doubt, which is Savlon chalks. In 2018, where we integrated soap into chalks, and it was that time, I don't even know if innovation existed as a category, or maybe we didn't participate in it because we didn't win it. But in 2018, we innovated that, and we won everything. But that is an innovation. So, but out there, the tech is in the chemistry of it. So that is it. This year, we are very proud of innovating the Number Rakshak, which is the Guardian beads, which is again a very low tech innovation. But it won at Clio, and it did not win here. But we are very proud of that innovation because it truly was something. Yeah, it was something that truly changed the way people can be lost and found.
Okay. Thank you so much. I just hope you keep rooting for each other like you always do.
Without a doubt.
And we'll always keep looking forward to the work that Ogilvy puts out in India, globally, everywhere.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Great chat.
Thank you.